Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the mirror asks a question no one else dares to ask. Are you proud of the way you let the world treat you? That moment can shake you. It can even break you. But if you're willing, truly willing, it can also remake you. You see, people don't decide how to treat you. You teach them. You teach them through the boundaries you set, the behavior you tolerate, the apologies you whisper for things you never needed to apologize for. And sometimes, without even realizing it, you hand people permission to walk over your worth. But here's the truth that can turn your life around today. Nobody respects you because you've been telling them, silently, consistently, that they don't have to. Now, I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to awaken you. Because the moment you start respecting yourself, the world shifts. The energy shifts. The rooms you walk into shift. People begin reacting not to who you were, but to who you've decided to become. A strong personality isn't a loud one. It's not about overpowering others. It's about empowering yourself. A strong personality begins with a single choice. I will no longer abandon myself to make others comfortable. You build strength by honoring your yes and defending your no. You build strength by choosing peace over approval. You build strength by walking away from anyone who forces you to shrink just to fit their comfort zone. Because your life was never meant to be lived in smallness. It was meant to be lived in truth, in confidence, in bold, beautiful clarity about who you are and what you deserve. So today, let this be your turning point. Stand tall, speak clearly, walk boldly, and treat yourself with the kind of respect you've been begging the world to give you. When you change how you show up, when you hold your boundaries with love, when you stop negotiating your worth, the world will rise to meet the version of you that finally rose for herself. Thank you. Your self-worth is the silent language you speak long before you ever open your mouth. It determines how you walk into a room, how you respond to challenges, how you establish boundaries, and how people interpret your presence. Every relationship you have, whether personal, professional, or even casual, is shaped by the way you value yourself. When you carry yourself with a sense of dignity, confidence, and clarity, others instinctively treat you with more respect, care, and consideration. When you consistently undervalue yourself, even unintentionally, people respond to that energy as well. At the heart of this principle lies one undeniable truth. You teach others how to treat you by the standard you set for yourself. If you accept disrespect, you set the tone for others to continue offering it. If you allow your voice to be overshadowed, you silently signal that your opinions do not matter. If you constantly prioritize others while abandoning your own needs, you unintentionally show people that your comfort is optional while theirs is essential. Self-worth is not arrogance, nor is it ego. It is not about believing you are better than others. Instead, it is about understanding that you are equal to others, deserving of the same level of respect, kindness, and fairness. It is the recognition that your feelings matter, your boundaries matter, your dreams matter, and your presence has value. When you understand your worth, you elevate the quality of every interaction you have, because you engage with the world from a place of strength rather than insecurity. Many people struggle with self-worth because they were taught to be overly accommodating, overly forgiving, or excessively humble. They were conditioned to avoid conflict, to keep the peace, or to remain small so others could shine. Over time, these patterns become habits, and these habits quietly erode self-respect. You begin tolerating rude remarks, staying in draining relationships, accepting unfair treatment, or suppressing your voice just to avoid discomfort. Eventually, people mirror back the very lesson you taught them, that your feelings, your boundaries, and your needs are negotiable. But here is the empowering part. Self-worth can be rebuilt. It can be strengthened, nourished, and expanded. You do this by making conscious choices that affirm your value. You do it by refusing to engage in situations that belittle your spirit. You do it by saying no when something does not align with who you are or who you are becoming. You do it by listening to your inner voice, honoring your limits, and choosing yourself, even when it feels unfamiliar or uncomfortable. The moment you begin showing yourself respect, the world adjusts. People begin approaching you differently. Conversations shift. Boundaries feel clearer. Opportunities feel more aligned. Relationships begin to filter themselves, leaving behind only the ones that honor your growth. This is not because the world changed, but because you changed the tone you bring into the world. Self-worth is not built in a day, but it is built one decision at a time. Every time you choose yourself, you strengthen it. Every time you speak your truth, you reinforce it. Every time you refuse to settle for less than you deserve, you expand it. And with every step, you redefine the level of respect you are willing to accept. When you understand your worth, you stop begging for respect and start commanding it, not through force, but through presence. Not through anger, but through clarity. Not through fear, but through authenticity. Your self-worth sets the tone. Make sure it speaks with strength, confidence, and unwavering truth. Boundaries are often misunderstood as barriers, walls, or weapons used to push people away. But in truth, boundaries are one of the greatest acts of kindness you can give to yourself and to others. They are not punishments, they are guidelines. They are not hostility, they are clarity. They are not withdrawal, they are direction. A life without boundaries is a life lived in confusion, exhaustion, emotional depletion, and constant self-abandonment. A life with boundaries is a life lived with respect, balance, and emotional freedom. Many people fear setting boundaries because they don't want to disappoint others, create conflict, or appear difficult. They worry that saying no will make them seem selfish, unkind, or ungrateful. So, they say, eyes out of guilt, agree to things that drain them, remain silent in situations that hurt them, and tolerate behavior that slowly breaks their spirit. And with every self-betrayal, they send a message. A message that says, my needs do not matter. When that message is repeated enough times, people begin believing it. They begin treating you exactly the way you have taught them to. Boundaries, however, disrupt that unhealthy cycle. They remind you that your mental, emotional, and physical well-being deserves protection. They reinforce that you have the right to rest, the right to peace, the right to space, and the right to choose what aligns with your life. When you set a boundary, you are not pushing someone away. You are simply teaching them how to love you, respect you, and interact with you in a healthy way. A boundary is a declaration of self-respect. It says, I value myself enough to protect what matters. It says, I refuse to shrink to be liked. It says, I will no longer sacrifice my peace to maintain someone else's comfort. This clarity does not break relationships. It strengthens them. Healthy people appreciate boundaries because boundaries create trust, responsibility, and emotional safety. Unhealthy people resist boundaries because boundaries expose their patterns and limit their ability to take advantage of your kindness. But even then, remember this: you are not responsible for someone else's reaction to your boundary. You are only responsible for expressing your truth with honesty and courage. Boundaries are also an act of kindness toward others because they prevent resentment from building up. When you say "Heis" while your heart is screaming "No," resentment grows. When you agree to things that drain you, bitterness forms. When you stay silent about something that hurts you, emotional distance begins to develop. Over time, this resentment can destroy relationships far more deeply than a simple, honest boundary ever could. Saying no is not unkind, it is honest. Saying I need space is not selfish, it is self-awareness. Saying this doesn't work for me is not rejection, it is emotional responsibility. Boundaries help people understand you. What you need, what you value, what you tolerate, and what you will not allow. And here is the most beautiful part. Boundaries do not only protect your peace, they also elevate your personality. They show people that you stand for something. They create emotional structure. They demonstrate maturity, confidence, and self-control. When you hold your boundaries firmly and consistently, people begin to approach you with more respect, more intention, and more care. But boundaries require courage. They require you to stand firm when others push back. They require you to speak clearly rather than hinting or hoping someone will magically understand your limits. They require you to choose long-term peace over short-term comfort. And they require you to understand that anyone who truly loves you will adapt to your boundaries, not fight against them. In the end, boundaries are not just rules, they are acts of love. Love for yourself and love for the people you allow into your life. They keep your relationships healthy, your mind clear, and your energy protected. They remind the world that your heart is valuable and your time is meaningful. Boundaries are a kindness to your soul, your peace, and your future. Your voice is more than sound. It is more than a collection of words, opinions, and expressions. Your voice is your identity, your signature, your truth, and your presence in the world. When you speak with intention, clarity, and courage, you shape the way people perceive you. When you silence your voice out of fear, doubt, or habit, you allow the world to define you instead. And nothing weakens your personality faster than the choice to remain quiet when your truth is calling you to speak. Many people grow up being taught to stay small, stay agreeable, stay quiet, and avoid conflict. They learn to apologize for speaking, to soften their opinions, to minimize their needs, and to accept situations that do not align with their values. Over time, they begin treating their voice as if it is optional, unnecessary, or inconvenient. And when you treat your voice as unimportant, the world follows your example. People stop listening. Opportunities overlook you. Relationships become one-sided. And slowly, unintentionally, you begin to disappear inside your own life. But your voice is not meant to be hidden. It is meant to be heard. It is meant to express your boundaries, your desires, your dreams, your standards, and your version of the truth. Every time you choose silence when you needed to speak, you disconnect from your own power. Every time you swallow your words to please others, you disconnect from your strength. Every time you pretend you are fine while breaking inside, you disconnect from the authenticity that is essential for a strong identity. Speaking your truth does not mean being loud, harsh, or confrontational. It means being present in your own life. It means allowing yourself to take up emotional and mental space. It means saying what you need, expressing what you feel, and standing firm in what you believe. Your personality becomes stronger not when you raise your voice, but when you raise your truth. Your voice also shapes the quality of your relationships. When you express yourself honestly, you attract people who appreciate authenticity. You connect with those who value your perspective, respect your boundaries, and honor your feelings. When you suppress your voice, you attract people who benefit from your silence. And eventually, you find yourself surrounded by relationships that drain you rather than uplift you. Speaking up is not only about communication, it is about identity. When you voice your needs, you affirm your worth. When you say what matters to you, you establish your standards. When you communicate clearly, you prevent misunderstandings, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. Silence, when used in the wrong moments, becomes a tool that harms you more than it protects you. Your voice also influences your inner world. Every time you speak up for yourself, you strengthen your confidence. Every time you express a need, you build self-respect. Every time you choose honesty over fear, you become more aligned with your true self. These moments accumulate and eventually shape a personality that is bold, grounded, and unshakable. Of course, using your voice requires courage. It requires embracing discomfort, especially if you are not used to speaking openly. It requires standing firm even when your voice trembles. It requires trusting that your truth deserves space even when others disagree. And it requires accepting that not everyone will like what you have to say. But ultimately, your voice is not meant to please everyone. It is meant to represent you. When you fully embrace your voice, the world begins to respond differently. People listen more carefully. They think before crossing your boundaries. They respect your presence because you show them that you respect yourself. And with every expression of your truth, your personality becomes stronger, clearer, and more defined. Your voice is your power. Use it with intention, use it with honesty, and use it with courage. Because when you do, you step fully into the strength of who you are meant to become. Transformation is often seen as something grand, overwhelming, or deeply complicated. Many people imagine it requires a complete life overhaul, a drastic shift, or a dramatic moment of awakening. But real transformation, the kind that reshapes your character and strengthens your personality, begins with something much simpler. One single decision, one choice, one turning point, one moment where you decide, I cannot continue living the same way. That moment becomes the spark that ignites everything else. Every major change in history, every personal rebirth, and every breakthrough in the human spirit starts with one powerful intention. It is the decision to step out of old patterns, old excuses, old fears, and old versions of yourself. It is the choice to no longer tolerate what drains you, disrespects you, weakens you, or keeps you small. Until that decision is made, nothing changes. The world waits for you to move, to choose, to rise, because your life cannot shift without your permission. People often underestimate the power of a single decision. They think change must be massive, complicated, or perfectly planned. They believe they need the right timing, the right resources, the right mood, or the right level of confidence. But confidence doesn't come before the decision. It grows after it. Motivation doesn't come before the decision. It strengthens because of it. Your environment doesn't shift before the decision. It transforms around your new choices. The truth is, transformation is less about doing and more about deciding. When you decide to respect yourself, your actions naturally change. When you decide to build boundaries, your conversations change. When you decide to value your peace, your priorities change. When you decide to let go of toxic habits or toxic people, your life begins to lighten. The decision comes first, and the transformation follows. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to build a strong personality is because they wait for permission. Permission from others, from circumstances, or from the ideal moment. But the moment you wait for will never arrive on its own. You must create it through choice. You must decide that your growth is more important than your comfort. You must decide that your future is more important than your fears. You must decide that the story you want to live is more powerful than the story you've been repeating. Transformation also requires emotional courage. It demands that you confront the parts of yourself that you've avoided. Your insecurities, your wounds, your excuses, and your limitations. It asks you to look honestly at your behaviors, your relationships, and your patterns without pretending or hiding. And yes, that level of honesty can be uncomfortable. But discomfort is not a punishment. It is a sign of growth. It is proof that you are leaving behind what no longer serves you. The beauty of transformation is that it doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require getting everything right. It doesn't require knowing every step in advance. All it requires is that you keep choosing the version of yourself you want to become. The decision you make today must be remade tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Transformation is not a single moment. It is a series of moments that begin with one powerful intention. One decision can create momentum. Momentum creates change. Change creates strength. Strength creates identity. And identity creates a personality that commands respect, confidence, and integrity. So, when you think about transformation, don't think about mountains you must climb or battles you must conquer. Think about the moment where you decide, truly decide, that your future matters. Think about the instant where you choose to rise. Think about that one internal shift where you say, from this moment on, I choose a different path. Transformation begins with one decision, and that decision has the power to rewrite your entire life. Respect is not something you beg for, chase, or demand. It is something you earn through the way you show up, day after day, moment after moment, decision after decision. While confidence can be displayed in a single gesture, and strength can appear in a single moment, respect is built through consistency. It grows when your actions match your words, when your boundaries remain firm, and when your behavior reflects the standards you claim to live by. People don't judge your character based on what you say once. They judge it based on what you repeatedly do. If you declare your value but constantly allow others to mistreat you, people notice. If you promise yourself that you won't tolerate disrespect, yet you stay silent when someone crosses the line, people notice. If you tell yourself that you deserve better, but continue engaging with situations that pull you down, people notice. Respect is built not through declarations, but through repetition. Consistency is powerful because it eliminates confusion. It tells people who you are. It tells them what you accept, what you reject, what you value, and what you stand for. When you are consistent, people learn how to approach you, how to communicate with you, and how to behave around you. When you are inconsistent, strict one day, lenient the next, outspoken today, silent tomorrow, people become unsure, and that uncertainty weakens your presence. A strong personality is not unpredictable. It is reliable. It is steady. People respect you when they know you mean what you say, and you stand by what you believe. Consistency sends a message that your boundaries are not suggestions, they are standards. It shows that your dignity is not situational, it is constant. It proves that your self-respect is not conditional, it is non-negotiable. But consistency isn't just about how others see you. It's about how you see yourself. Every consistent action strengthens your self-image. Every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you reinforce your sense of dignity. Every time you uphold a boundary, you build confidence. Every time you remain grounded in your values, you deepen your self-respect. These moments accumulate, shaping a personality that is solid, dependable, and deeply respected. Of course, consistency requires discipline. It requires choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It requires doing what is right for your well-being, even when emotions tempt you to do what is familiar. It requires staying committed to your values, even when you feel pressured to break them. And it demands that you show up for yourself, especially on the days you feel tired, doubtful, or afraid. Consistency also exposes the people who truly respect you, and the people who only respect the version of you they can manipulate. When you remain firm, some will rise to meet your standards. They will treat you with more care, more intention, and more awareness. Others may fall away because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. Let them go. People who cannot respect your consistency do not deserve access to your growth. Over time, your consistency builds a foundation for every relationship, opportunity, and decision in your life. It becomes the quiet strength behind your confidence. It becomes the reason others seek your presence. It becomes the force that stabilizes your emotions, your identity, and your path forward. Remember, this respect is not an event. It is a pattern. It is not granted lightly, and it is not sustained without effort. But when you consistently choose honesty over avoidance, boundaries over people-pleasing, integrity over convenience, and self-respect over approval, you become someone others cannot help but respect. Respect follows consistency, and consistency begins with the choice to honor yourself every single day. Not occasionally, not when it's easy, but always. At the end of the day, everything comes down to one truth: your life rises to the level of the standards you set for yourself. The way people treat you, the way opportunities show up for you, and the way relationships unfold around you are all shaped by the choices you make every single day. Choices about your worth, your boundaries, your voice, your decisions, and your consistency. You are not here to live small. You are not here to bend until you break. You are not here to silence yourself so others can grow louder. You are here to own your space, to honor your value, and to live with a strength that comes from deep within. Self-worth sets the tone. Boundaries protect your spirit. Your voice carries your truth. One decision can transform your entire direction. And consistency is what makes the world take your strength seriously. When you choose respect for yourself, you teach others how to respect you. When you decide to rise, the world rises with you. When you speak your truth, your soul steps into alignment. And when you show up consistently, with integrity and courage, you become a force impossible to ignore. So let today be the moment you reclaim your power. Let today be the moment you stop shrinking. Let today be the moment you say, I deserve more, and I will live like it. You don't need approval. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. All you need is the courage to begin and the commitment to keep going. Because when you honor yourself, everything around you begins to change. And the world will respect you, not because you asked for it, but because you finally demanded it through the way you live. This is your moment. Stand in it and rise.